You don't know the power of the dark side.
What's up guys, Mistpass here, back with another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes commentary video, and I have to apologize for the length of time I've gone without any uploads. I had a house full of sick kids for the last week, so we're back, and I'm excited to bring you some awesome audio clips from a Galactic War Report podcast where the folks at Galactic War Report actually interviewed EA Jesse and asked him about the latest update. If you want to listen to the full podcast, I have the link in the description below. It's radiofreetattooine.com. The guys over there were gracious enough to let me include some of the audio clips from their interview with EA Jesse. So shout out to those guys. I've got their Twitter down in the description below if you want to follow them. I tried not to make the background video too distracting. It's just me opening 75,000 ally points worth of bronzium packs. So I did get a few characters, so that's kind of fun. But anyway, let's jump right into the podcast. So the first interview question that I wanted to discuss was they asked EA Jesse why the level cap was being increased right now.
Why not now? I mean, no, it's been like you said, it's been 6 months that people have been able to reach level 80, work and expand their squads, and so they've got a lot of their core teams that they probably want to use already there, ready to go, as powerful as they can make it with mods and everything. Mm-hmm. So now going up to 85 opens up the category of you've got more gear that you can get for your characters and keep progressing them. Some characters, will have just different options open up. Their stats will change a little bit, so things will flatten out a little bit and could change possibly the meta, like you said.
That answer right there pretty much puts me at ease. When I saw the initial developer update that they were going to raise the level cap to 85, I was not happy. I was not happy at all, mostly just because I've just now got a lot of my characters up to where I want them to be, and I'm happy. I'm happy with where I'm at. I've got the opportunity to work on characters that are a little bit deeper in my roster, and I was initially pretty frustrated because I don't want to have to go back and not really start all over, but decide which characters I want to level up. So that makes sense. I know that I have been 80 since probably late March, early April-ish, so I know that a large portion of the player community is at 80 and ready for the level cap increase. I'm just really happy that they didn't make it 90. So the first thing that came to my mind when I saw the level cap increase was, dear God, how much is it going to cost to level up my characters from 80 to 85? I know that from 70 to 80 costs 2.2 million credits, roughly, give or take a few hundred thousand, so I wanted to know how much it was going to cost to go from 80 to 85. Unfortunately, Jesse doesn't have the exact answer for us, and I'll go ahead and play his answer to that question.
That I wish I had the information on, and I'm actually going to probably after this podcast go try and find that information so that I can get that out to people.
Then he followed that up with a very good point.
Don't forget, you're not going to go 80 to 85 overnight.
That right there pretty much should put a lot of people at ease. With how much time it took to get from 79 to 80, I think on average it took people 2 to 3, maybe 4 days to do that. And that's if they were spending crystals on extra energy and everything to get that extra XP. With how many credits are coming to us from the credit heist and the Galactic War, I don't think we'll really have a problem with maintaining our core arena team, a raid squad, and possibly even a B or C Galactic War squad while we're leveling up. It shouldn't be that big of an issue, I think, to make sure that you're leveling, 5 to 10 characters with each level before you hit the next. So one thing that was addressed in the podcast, in the interview, was the concept of leapfrogging. Basically, as more powerful characters or new characters are introduced into the game, inevitably those characters seem to be just a little bit more powerful than the rest of the characters in the game. And so as more characters are being introduced, the older characters are being kind of lost in the background, so to speak. And so Jesse addressed the issue of how leveling characters will kind of be an opportunity for them to also bring balance to some of the characters that may seem overpowered. They aren't going to be straight up nerfed. That is not going to happen. I think Jesse does a real good job of addressing that concern.
So we don't just change a character that people are used to being a certain way. So when they level it up, that character doesn't necessarily, get adjusted. It's just they balance out other stats. So we won't nerf anything like, oh, their speed is too fast, nerf them. It's just their speed may not change at all, but other character speeds other character speeds may increase, and their gear that they get may increase in speed also.
So in other words, you're not going to see Rey getting 3 more pieces of gear that increase her speed. On the other hand, you may see slow characters like Grand Moff Tarkin or Asajj Ventress get a few extra pieces of gear that boost their speed to kind of bring a little bit more balance to the game. And speaking of gear, one of the first concerns then is, what about the gear challenges? Are we going to get new tiers of the gear challenge? Are those new tiers going to have more of the gear that we need? Is it going to maybe give us some of those pieces that we need 50 of? Or are they going to restructure the existing tiers and maybe consolidate some of the gear that we need into the new tiers?
So it is my understanding that there will be new tiers for the gear challenges. Now, what exactly that gear is, I still have to figure that out. But yes, there will be one new tier for difficulty across each gear challenge. Now, also, I don't know what the level requirement is for that. It probably won't be at 80. It'll be somewhere 80 to 85.
So what I would like to see with that new tier, I'd like a restructuring of the entire gear challenge system. Right now, there are pieces of gear in that thing that nobody uses. I've got hundreds, if not 1,000 pieces of certain gear pieces that you get from those challenges. Never use them, or I use them so little that I've got so much extra. Now, what I would like to see is this new tier have stun cuffs. Hint, hint, stun cuffs. I'd love to see those in a gear challenge. That would make my life so much easier. Also, just consolidate some of the pieces, put some of the pieces that are down in the lower tiers. I know that droid collar is a piece that a lot of people need, and unfortunately they have to choose. So moving on from the level cap increase to the other issue, the raid and ships. The first question was, what's going on with ships? Why was the little hint made about ships, and then in all the updates since, nothing has been said? Are we going to be looking at the same situation as what happened with the AAT raid, where its ships are going to be pushed off indefinitely? Is it going to be massively delayed? What's going on? The short answer was that there are 2 different development teams. One team was responsible for the raid, and another team is working on ships. So right now, ships is on schedule to be released on time, and Jesse would not tell us when that was going to happen. Now, a lot of players who were paying attention noticed that before Biggs was updated, his character description said that he had ship synergy. This led us to believe that pilot characters would play a significant role when ships were introduced to the game. So, of course, Jesse addressed that as well.
Should people be putting work into pilots as opposed to, say, Stormtrooper or whatever?
Or I guess, is there anything we can do, or is it totally separate?
Well, I can't give any details exactly. However, if you realize who the daily logging character is this month, that might give you some ideas.
That was kind of a cryptic answer, but I think he pretty much told us without saying that pilot-type characters, or characters who are known for being very good pilots, Poe Dameron, Wedge Antilles, Boba Fett, possibly Han Solo, might play a significant role when ships are introduced. So that's actually really cool news for me. Both my accounts, I have pretty wide assortment of characters that I think will actually pay off in the long run when ships are finally introduced. So the biggest topic right now is the new raid. The new raid that we have been waiting for literally 2.5 months. It was first announced back in July. They said it was probably going to be on track for coming out in August, and obviously that timeline never happened. Now it's October, and we're just about to get the AAT raid, and we're super stoked, right? So what the heck took so long, right? Well, Jesse gave the same answer in the podcast that he gave on the developer notes, and that was that the developers really wanted to make sure that the players got the best possible experience, and part of that was making sure that guilds didn't have to make a decision on which raid to do. Inevitably, you're going to have a small gap within every guild of who's got a 7-star Han Solo ready to do the new raid, who doesn't have the 7-star Han Solo and still needs to do the Rancor. You wanted to make sure that players got the maximum experience. And so to do that, they've developed a way to do both raids simultaneously. Now, one of the other questions was, how is it going to be formatted? Is it going to be formatted in the same 7-tier system? Actually, it's not.
So, actually, this raid only has 2 tiers.
He went on to explain that the bottom tier is essentially for players just hitting level 80 or working their way to level 85 who weren't at the level cap and didn't really have a full complement of characters who were ready to go in and just smash the raid, right? So the heroic version essentially is going to be for those players who hit 85 and have some of those characters closer to gear max. So I have a feeling that guilds that have been doing heroic Rancor and absolutely smashing it, like my guild, are probably going to be able to jump right into the lower tier of the AAT raid and just clear it no problem. However, we may find that the heroic AAT raid might give us a run for our money. It all remains to be seen. Hopefully it is awesome, and I'm sure it will be. So we all want to know, how is the tank raid going to run? Is General Grievous going to be part of the tank raid? How is it going to run? Well, Jesse gave us some good hints on how that's going to flow.
You first go up against General Grievous, and he's got some B2 droids with him, and once you take him out, he'll do his General Grievous thing and kind of run away, but he calls an AAT to come in and deal with you. And
so that sounds a lot like the way the Rancor is formatted, where you have the Gamorrean guards that you got to get through, so you got to get through General Grievous, and then the Rancor comes out. Well, that's the AAT tank. Well, how is that going to be different? Is there going to be much more strategy involved? The bottom line, yeah, there's going to be a lot more going on with the AAT that wasn't necessarily going on with the Rancor. The Rancor was pretty linear, pretty straightforward. You had the Rancor and a door down. Nothing really there to really make a decision. The new AAT raid is going to require a little bit more strategy, and you may not be able to just put your squad in and hit auto. So it's going to be a lot more involved, and it's going to be a lot more fun, it sounds, so I'm really stoked about that. So we know that General Grievous is going to be a big part of at least the first phase of the raid. Well, he's a droid, right? So how valuable are all of our characters who are really powerful against droids going to be, right? Everybody wants to know, did they waste a whole ton of time and resources farming Jawas? Did they waste a whole bunch of time and resources farming Amagundi? Jesse helps us with that as well.
yeah, I think Jawas do pretty good because everything in the raid is classified as a droid.
And with that, I think we can all breathe a deep sigh of relief. I know now that I have not wasted my time and or resources into Amagundi or my Jawas. Holy crap, that makes me feel a lot better about all of that. So what about the rewards? What is this new raid going to provide us with? Are we going to be getting new mods? Are we going to be getting gear? Are we going to be getting a new character? Mods? No. No new mods are going to be introduced with the AAT raid. Mark V mods will remain the top tier mods in the game for right now. They didn't want to introduce Mark VI because that would bring a whole new issue of balance, and honestly, I think that's probably the right decision. You want to wait until the game is played by millions of people at level 85 before you introduce something like a Mark VI mod that is going to potentially throw the balance of the game completely out of whack. Right now, Mark V mods are good. They're great. I mean, hell, you see people boosting their speed by 90-something points with just Mark V mods. So Mark V mods right now, staying the top tier, I think is a great decision. So what about gear? Right now, gear is the most effective way to increase a character's stats, make them more powerful. Right now, a lot of characters cap out at gear 10, some cap out at gear 11. Jesse kind of hinted at where some of that gear might come from.
The only place you can get this new gear is from the raid.
From the sounds of it, gearing up characters beyond their current gear max is going to be rough. If gear is only available from the raid, hopefully the raid is dropping full complete pieces more often, or at least these new pieces hopefully won't require 50 pieces of salvage to create a complete piece. I guess it all remains to be seen how the raid is going to work, how the raid rewards are going to work. Hopefully there's not such a disparity between 1st and 50th on the raid rewards. I really hope that they don't just give the last place player 20 pieces of salvage and the first place player gets 3 full complete pieces. That's just going to serve to create a further divide between the more powerful players in each guild and the less powerful players in each guild. I really hope that they kind of equalize the rewards from first to last place. And finally, the most important part of the raid rewards, a new character. What are we going to get? What new character is going to come to the game and absolutely blow our minds? Well, Jesse kind of gave a little bit of a hint on who we might see.
It is a character from the era in which the raid takes place.
Okay, so we know that it's going to be a character from the Clone Wars. That is pretty obvious. General Grievous, the tank raid, obviously the Separatist droid army. It's going to be a character from that era. Well, a lot of those Jedi are already in the game. A lot of those characters, the Separatists, are already in the game. We know that it's not going to just be an unnamed character like, Geonosian Captain, something like that. Jesse made a little joke about that during the podcast. So the question is, who's not in the game who's from the Clone Wars era? Well, R2-D2 isn't in the game. General Kenobi is not in the game. There's a bunch of other characters who aren't in the game yet from the Clone Wars era. So who do you think it's going to be? Go ahead and leave me a comment below with who you think the reward character is going to be for the new raid. And as always, please like, favorite, subscribe, follow me on Facebook and Twitter. I've also set up a Discord server. If you guys want to join, you can talk to each other. I'll be on in the evenings to answer questions and that kind of stuff. The links are in the description below. And as always, I'll catch you later.
Yeah, ships are still on the way. That's no secret, since I kind of loosely announced that, just saying yep, we're working on ships. Mm-hmm. No, the raid has not affected ships at all. The raid was a separate team working on that.